Alright, good afternoon and welcome to today's class. Today we'll be discussing a Cartesian plane. Cartesian plane. One thing you should know is this. If I should ask you a question, if I say how can we describe the exact position of a plane on a map? Maybe you're given a map to actually describe a particular position on that map. What would you use to do that? How would you go about that? Alright. Now, of course, without wasting much time, what we're going to use is Cartesian plane. Now, this Cartesian plane is named after a French mathematician called René Descartes. I think the name is written this way. Then Descartes. Okay, this is how the name is being written. He's a French man. He actually worked on this particular topic and it is named after him. Okay, good. Now the point is this. If you say, okay, let's now define Cartesian plane. We say Cartesian plane is a flat surface formed by two number lines that intersect at right angles. Okay, a Cartesian plane is a flat surface formed by two number lines that intersect at a right angle. Let me write just for reference sake. Let me just write. You can say a Cartesian plane is a flat surface formed by two number lines that intersect at right angles. Now I'm going to give us a diagram that help us understand better the length and the breadth of this particular topic. In fact, everything you must know on this topic will depend on this diagram. All right. Now, this diagram is actually called the components of Cartesian plane. These are the main components of Cartesian plane. And with that component, I'm going to discuss coordinates. All right. Good. Now, here is the diagram I have for us here. All right. Now, the components are the x and the y axis. Okay, let me write. Components is equal to x and y axis. So these are the major things you are going to work with as long as Cartesian plane is concerned. Now, anything on this very line, this is what we call number line. This is number line. This is number line. Okay. Now, this very place where the two lines meet are called point of origin. Point of origin. And anything at this point is 0. Okay. From here, you can start your counting. If I want to count along positive side of x, our count this is 0. I can actually put 1 here. Here could be 2, depending on my measurement. Then here is 3. Anything here are negative. 0 minus 1, it is decreasing towards the left. Then minus 3. Okay. From this 0 up here, everything here are positive. I can have my 1, my 2, then 3. While anything down the y-axis from here down, and negative. I can have minus 1, 0 here. This is minus 2, then minus 3. Okay, so this is what we call components of a Cartesian plane, which are x and y axis. So note that. Now let's actually discuss coordinates. Coordinates. Okay, now coordinates is actually a particular point, all right, on each of these. Okay, let me put in this very straight way. All right, coordinates is simply a selected point on both x and y axis at the same time. A selected point. Maybe you want to check for an object like we defined or we explained earlier, that it is being used to describe an exact position of a plane on a map. Okay, let's assume that there's a map that we want to actually pick a point from. Now, this is a movement along x-axis. Then when we move 2 units along x-axis, which is 0, 1, 2, okay, good. Now when we move the same 2 units along y-axis, when y is positive though, this is 0, 1, 2. So that means if I go this way, then along y-axis, this is 0, 1, 2, I'll stop at 2. So here, now the point where x and y meet, the point where a value from x-axis and y-axis meets is called coordinates. So here is called 2, 2. Now this is called x, y, which is x and y coordinates. Okay. Now let me use where when we have different figures. Okay. Let me ask, maybe we want to pick a point along negative part of y-axis. Maybe I want to pick minus 3. Okay. Now use minus 3 here now. Maybe to stop at minus 2 when x is now minus 2. Now I can take down this line coming down here. Now the point where both this minus 3 and 2 minus 2 meets is also a coordinate. Okay, now I can call this thing point A. All right, I can call this place, let's say let me just say I have a, this is, now we first of all put the value of x before the y. Okay, so x is minus 2, then y is minus 3. I can call this place point B. Point. So this is coordinates. Minus 2, comma, minus, this is my x, and this is my y. So at this point, I've been actually able to actually get both components and coordinates from this particular diagram. Remember, diagram I use here is what we refer as component of what's it called, Cartesian plane. Now to get your coordinates, coordinate involves bringing a point from x and y, and the place where they both meet is what they call, just like the name is, coordinates. Where they both coordinates is at this point. Okay, now here is called coordinate A, here can be called coordinates B. Now by tomorrow we'll be discussing quadrants as it concerns a Cartesian plane. Thank you and have a very good day. Bye.